So some good news for a change on the economy. Growth expanded by 2% in the third quarter of this year, better than expected.
That's according to Stats SA, but growth is much slower than the revised 2.8% that was seen in the second quarter. Economists had expected lower growth at around 1.6%.
Activity in the utilities and construction sectors stagnated during the third quarter of the year. This is on the back of weak electricity demand and a scarcity of sustained fixed investment. Growth during this time was almost entirely driven by the agriculture, mining and manufacturing sectors. These made up 1.9% of the quarterly figure.
2017 was a bumper harvest, but we have seen a lot in the field crops, particularly maize, as well as we have come to observe that in horticulture there was growth. In citrus fruits and vegetables we have observed sufficient growth or substantive growth, so to say. Now, if you look at mining, we also had 4.6 growth in this quarter.
While this growth is somewhat encouraging, but it is still nowhere near what it should be in order to improve the low consumer and business confidence and to get millions of South Africans working.
The bigger picture would still be negative in the sense that its overall growth so far for the year of only 1%. Slightly better than what we have expected though, but it would still mean that the job market would remain under pressure with these type of growth rates. It's not high enough to really spur employment opportunities. So it's actually still dismal for the man in the street. If you look at these numbers, it doesn't really signal that the employment scenario would really change anytime soon.
As Africa's biggest economy, South Africa's economic growth rate is concerning when compared to the rest of Africa. Once known as the gateway into Africa, analysts say it is fast losing ground. Currently, the economic prospects are poor with only 0.7% growth rate expected this year. This is much lower than the region that is expected to grow by 3.5%. The world economy is expected to grow by 3.7%. And other emerging and developing economies will grow by 4.7%.
In other countries, those countries south of the Sahara, with whom we can be directly compared, many of them have considerable mining resources. They have considerable agricultural sectors, and they are growing in the financial field. What I think then is, if you look at the per capita increase in their economies, it can be going. The IMF released a report recently to say they were looking at 3 to 5% over the next couple of years. Well, we haven't got any hope. Well, the Reserve Bank is saying that maybe in another 2 years' time, in 2019, we will have grown at 1.5% per annum or something like that. And that is just saying, hey, the other countries are growing from a similar base, but at a far faster rate. And that's going to propel them to a greater level of size of economy in the foreseeable future.
Last year, the South African economy only managed to grow by 0.3%. Rating agencies are keeping watch on the country. Standard & Poor's downgraded South Africa's debt to junk status. Fitch opted to keep the country's debt at junk. Moody's is the only major agency which still rates South African debt as investment grade, but has placed it on downgrade review pending the December ANC elective conference and also the February 2018 budget. Diabosito, SABC News, Johannesburg.